right, Alexis.
Hey, Drew.
How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you, too.
We got two great guests
Yes.
in the podcast today.
That's right.
From different parts of the country. We have somebody, Nico, who's from SoCal, Southern California. We'll get in. And James in Houston, right? Yep. And I'll tell you, busy time of year. So
Yes.
Thank you guys for being a part of this. You have two phenomenal stories that we're going to get into. Not only your backgrounds with Walmart, but the interaction and the mentorship between the two of you. And it's just a really cool story. So we're gonna get into that here in a bit. But Alexis, any plans for Thanksgiving?
No, I actually forgot all about it. I didn't realize it was next week.
So just now?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember to take a PTO day.
Nice.
And I was like, should I do more? Should I not? I don't know.
You having family over?
So, nope. No. Actually, I don't know. If you're watching, you're my family. Call me.
Come on over.
Let me know what we're doing.
Come on over.
Yeah. Are you doing anything?
We're staying home.
Okay.
We'll stay home. I'll be out in stores a little bit, and then over the weekend we're going to do some fun stuff, and with my immediate family, my family.
Oh, okay. I was going to ask if your uncle is going to be there.
No.
Okay.
So
Just
I don't think
wondering.
so. Anyways, we're looking forward to it. It's going to be good too. It's amazing how fast Thanksgiving has just came up like this, you know? And I know you guys are going to be working. I know what you guys are going to be doing, but
Sure.
On the actual day, we're closed on Thanksgiving. Do you have any plans on the actual day of Thanksgiving? Back in the day, we couldn't have plans, right? Because we were in stores at 6 o'clock in the morning,
exactly.
Right? So nowadays, do you guys do anything on Thanksgiving?
It's going to be primarily for us, just immediate family, small gathering. I've been given the task to smoke a turkey.
Oh,
Yes.
nice.
So
What kind of smoker do you got?
Pit Boss.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
Nice.
It's going to be delicious.
Yeah, so we're going to try it. First time I ever smoked it, so my wife has a backup plan. She's going to do one in the oven, and I'm going to try the smoke.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Nice.
I've heard smoked turkey is phenomenal.
Yeah. So I've been watching YouTube stories like crazy just to make sure I got it down pat.
Yeah.
Do you use a certain type of wood?
Yeah, we're using a hickory wood is what they
Okay, is what they
suggest.
recommend.
Yeah.
Nico, what's your plan?
You know what? Just hanging out at the house, family. I'm an operator, so it's hard to sleep in, but I will wake up early, but I'll probably go back to sleep. I'll probably do some breakfast for the family and let them take care of lunch and dinner and get prepared for the big event, but mainly just being around the kids and being at the house and not having any responsibility that day other than cooking breakfast.
Yeah,
Isn't
there
that
you go.
awesome?
I can live with that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And it's so cool that we have the day off now. There was, I remember the first Thanksgiving that we had where we had closed the doors at the stores, and thinking this is the first Thanksgiving I've had like in a long time, and to be able to experience it, which hopefully many of our associates get to do this year as well. So definitely deserve it through the pandemic and all this going on.
Yep.
You know, there's been challenges, but we also have a lot to be thankful for, I think. So anyways, I'm looking forward to the time as well.
I don't think there's a lot of people out there who say, no, open it back up on
Yeah,
Thanksgiving.
really,
I have a lot of us who say, hey, no, let's get back to work.
Let's start.
It's pretty popular.
It's popular
decision.
Yeah. It's kind of.
I'm down with it.
Yeah. So am I. So Nico, how long have you been with the company?
14 years.
14 years.
Just crossed over.
Okay.
So,
What'd you do before Walmart?
high school.
Yeah.
I came straight out of high school into Walmart.
Did you really?
I did. I actually started in 2006 and came to the company as a cashier in North Kansas City, 2857 Berry Road.
Are you from Kansas City originally?
I am.
Where?
Kansas City is where I moved to after high school. It's where my family's from, but I was actually born and raised in Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, yeah. Know it well.
Yeah, K-State
Know it well,
Wildcatter.
yeah.
Kind of most of my family's alum, mother's alum, brother's alum.
Yeah.
So that's actually home for me. It's where I grew up and
Got it.
went all the way through high school and came to the company in 2006. In Kansas City, we moved after my senior year of high school.
Wow.
And came for 8 months and left the company for summer. I couldn't take a leave of absence back then. I hadn't been there long enough.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Went to do work for a nonprofit foundation in Florida with disabled children and
Wow.
children who suffer from different kinds of behavioral and physical disorders, and did that for a full summer. And actually continued on doing that 2 years for weekend camps. Went back and forth from Kansas City to Tampa, Florida, and did that for a couple of years. But came back to the company in October of 2007, and that's been my continuous service. 14 years.
That's great, man. So ran stores, now run a market.
Yep.
That's awesome. Which stores did you run?
So my first store I ran was in 2013, Socorro, New Mexico. It's about an hour south of Albuquerque. Actually, Mr. Torres' hometown.
Yeah.
Got a chance to run that store and did that for a bit, and then went back to Kansas and ran 2 more stores. One of them being a Academy store, and I'm talking the original Academy.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is the,
Was this in Kansas City?
no, this one was in Topeka, Kansas.
Topeka, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
2131. And this was that audit. This is the Judith audit, that's what I call it.
Yeah.
This is with you have to replace shelves and
Yeah.
under counters. Got it open.
That's
and,
awesome.
The rest is history after that.
That's
Wow.
awesome, man. What a story.
Yeah.
James, how about you?
20 years with the company.
20 years.
Wow.
Yeah, prior to that, I was a store manager for a grocery chain there in the Southwest that I actually got recruited to Walmart. It was in early 2001. Super centers were just going up in New Mexico, so they were looking for people with food experience at the time. So we had this district manager who would come into the grocery store and say, "Hey, you want to come work for Walmart?" I said, "No, I'm happy." Week later, "Hey, you want to come to Walmart?" "No, I'm good." And then talked to me a third time, and I said, "Well, this guy's pretty interested." I said, "Came to work for Walmart, started off as an assistant manager trainee,
Yeah.
and then was there for about a year and progressed to a co-manager. I was a co-manager for right about a year, and then ran my first store in Cortez, Colorado.
Wow.
Wow.
And just a great group of people, kind of learned that store manager role,
Yep.
vital. Went back to Albuquerque, took over a Focus store at the time, did that for a while, and then I had the opportunity to open up a ground-up store, a brand new supercenter. There was a lot of expansion going on in the early 2000s, so did that. And then I actually went back and ran a 4th store, where I started from, and did that for a little while, and then got promoted to be a market manager in Kansas City, Missouri.
Wow.
It was an opportunity, and interviewed and said, "Hey, we'd like to have you." And so from there, and that's where our paths crossed with Nico and
In Kansas City. I thought you were
City.
going to say Albuquerque.
now
No, Kansas City. Huh?
Kansas City. Yep.
Interesting.
So I was in Kansas City for a couple of years, and then from there I went back to New Mexico, and then ran a market in Southwest New Mexico, and then went to Albuquerque, and I ran Albuquerque for my longest tenure anywhere. I was there for 5-6 years in Albuquerque, and then kind of got a little itchy that I needed to do
Yeah.
something different.
Yeah.
You know, those things go.
Sure.
And said, "Hey, we have this complex market in Dallas, South Dallas. We'd like you. I think it'd be a good opportunity for you. Why don't you apply for it?" So applied for that and had the opportunity to go to South Dallas and ran that. And then here I am today as a regional ops coordinator in Region 6.
That's right. In Houston, right?
Yep.
That's awesome, man. What a story. These stories
Holy cow.
one of the best things about this is
Yeah.
we get to hear, you guys hear stories, and so do I every time you're in stores, right? We all talk about a Walmart story. But it's fun to get folks in here to hear because they're everybody's unique in their own way. They're somewhat similar, but they're also unique. And you guys got 2 great ones. Anyways, that's good stuff.
Is
All right,
Kansas City home for you, Drew?
it is. I grew up in Oklahoma, like and then we moved to Texas, moved around. But in high school, I was in Kansas City.
Okay.
And then my parents left Kansas City and then went back. So, but my parents are there. My sister and her husband are there, nieces and nephews. And so we go up to Kansas City a lot.
Okay. And
Yeah.
my folks live in Belton.
Okay,
So,
yeah, absolutely.
just right off the 49.
We were in
so-
Stanley.
Okay. On the Kansas side?
Yeah, on the Kansas side. And then now my family lives in Overland Park.
Okay. Yeah, it's a really nice area.
Yeah, yeah.
Really nice area.
Yeah, I love Kansas City.
You know, when you talk to people who don't know Kansas City, they say, "Are you in the Kansas City, or Kansas City,
Right.
Missouri?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Is it 2 different countries? Is it 2
Yeah,
different
right.
states?
Feels like 2 different
Is
countries
it a
sometimes.
line?"
Yeah.
I'm like, "It's just a street. It's like
Yeah.
any other state line." They're like,
Just
"Well,
a street.
But the big question is Kansas City, what's your go-to barbecue place in Kansas City?
Ooh.
Jack Stack for us.
Jack
Okay.
Stack is great.
Yeah.
So I got to tell you experience
Yeah.
about Gates Barbecue.
Yeah, I know Gates. I know Gates well too. Gates is if I'm in a hurry, I go to Gates.
Yeah, so
If I'm ready to Jack Stack, what is what's the other one? There's another one.
Q39?
Q39. I have yet to be there.
it's outstanding.
it's-
Yeah. Would you put that above Jack Stack?
You can't beat Jack Stack.
Yeah.
Jack
Yeah,
Stack
I
is
know,
great.
man. I've been going there for years.
good ambiance. and
The
Jack Stack.
Q39 is
Yeah,
good food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's Arthur Bryant's too. You can't forget about
Oh,
old
Arthur
Arthur
Bry-
Bryant.
yeah,
Arthur
yeah.
Bryant's.
Arthur.
Have you been to these?
Oh yeah, all of them.
We're talking a foreign language.
You are, and I'm just like, what is happening
This is
right now?
amazing.
We'll go down this rabbit hole with
Jack
barbecue
Stack.
for a long time.
You should have said. You should have just jumped in. Jack,
been like,
you just picked one.
Let me just take some notes. Yeah. No.
Anyways,
Gates was the first time they said, "Hey James, you got to eat at Gates." So went into Gates.
It's an
and
experience.
Alexis, when you walk in, it's, "Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help you?" And I felt like I was under the gun. I didn't know what to order. I've never been there before because it's multiple. Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help you? Hi, may I help
It's
you?
like
Welcome
the
to
Seinfeld.
Moe's.
It's like
Okay.
Seinfeld. No soup for you.
Yeah,
No soup for you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's what it's like.
The soup Nazi.
And so I ordered the biggest platter I think I ever had. I could eat but a quarter of it. And
You get nervous, don't you?
I was nervous.
I get
does.
nervous today when I go in
Right?
there.
Yeah, I was
I'm
under
like,
the gun.
we hang back as a family. I'm like, you're not going in that line until you know what you want.
Yeah.
And then you get in the line,
That's
and then you
it.
follow the process.
Wow.
And you better.
And you don't mess up when you get up there because
Yeah.
you will get in trouble. Like you don't mess up with the
Yeah.
tray and the.
Yeah.
My anxiety is already.
Yeah,
yeah.
I'm telling you. Don't send nothing back. Just take it and say, yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
yes,
that's right.
yes,
Yeah,
sir."
just keep moving.
Oh,
keep
no.
moving. Stop looking.
Yep.
It's a great place.
It is.
Really good.
Wow.
Makes you want to go?
It does. Yep.
We should do it. Store tours up there. I'll show you around.
Yeah. And I will know if we go into Gates
Yeah.
that I will just hang back.
Yeah, yeah.
You shouldn't have told me this because if we
Oh,
went,
then
then
you
you
should-
could have been like, go ahead,
Yeah.
you first.
that
You
was
may
a-
not even notice. You may have just gone right through
yeah.
and breezed right through.
Hey, everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
You have to research
Thank you so much.
You have to research it before you go
Yeah,
in, know
and then-
exactly
Oh,
what you
man.
want.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot of pressure.
It is pressure.
Wow.
But they have a food that people go to get. It's like
Yeah.
the soup Nazi. Like
Yeah.
you,
Oh, yeah.
you love the soup.
What's
So
the good
Yeah.
thing there to get?
Oh my goodness! I would say the mixed plate, just because you get a big.
Well,
you
what's
get a-
what's on the mixed plate?
It's
goodness,
mixed.
is what? Yeah,
yeah,
a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything.
Like what ribs,
Nice.
ribs, and each sliced meat, right, and the fries, and so it's a lot of food for one person. It's really a 2-person plate, but there's all kinds
Yeah,
of
it's
stuff
good
there.
stuff,
Just,
man.
you got to research the menu.
Sandwiches are really good.
Yep.
Sandwiches are really good.
The beans are great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The beans at Jack Stack are the best in the world.
They,
Oh,
cheesy
I
corn.
second that.
Yeah.
Seen the
Cheesy
beans?
corn, but beans are number one. Cheesy corn's number two.
Yeah.
in Jack's Stack.
Beans got
You,
like a brisket.
you like gain weight walking in the door, just breathing it all in.
You see how we're going down this barbecue rabbit hole?
Yeah.
Because we could do this for an hour.
Yeah.
Like we could change the title of this episode.
Yeah.
Just have
KC
two,
barbecue.
part 1, part 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then you throw in the mix of Texas barbecue, and then we'll
Yeah,
really
yeah,
get started. We can throw
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So we want to talk about mentorship.
Yeah.
And how you make connections, how you invest in other people, how you find people that are different than you and establish relationship. And you guys are two great examples of that. So if you want to just start, like you cross paths, sounds like in Kansas City. So you want to describe how that kind of started,
Yeah.
and then we'll kind of go from there.
Yeah, so I'll start it. New to Kansas City, new market manager. Nico was actually an overnight assistant manager, I think, at the time, right?
Yes, sir.
And so my office was in Lee Summit. So Nico was an assistant there at store 573. In the office, and I hear a knock at the door and look up, and Nico, young man at the door, says, "Hey, can I talk to you, sir?" I say, "Yeah, come on in." And he wanted to talk about Nico.
Barbecue.
Close. that came some years later, right?
Okay, got it.
I wanted to talk because when I wanted to meet him, right? He's our new market manager, and wanted to meet him. But I had some challenges, and I was addressed. And I felt as if I just want to talk through it. I just wanted to understand a little bit better. And James, being the new market manager, seemed approachable just in his body language and
Yeah,
way toward
sure.
the store. And he waved, of course, as he was going. And I just feel like I can just talk to him, kind of informally. And that's where it started. And that's what I went to the office for.
Yeah, so he didn't agree with the coaching that he received.
I said,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
know you're-
Nico was
where
trying
you-
to cover that up. I knew what Nico was saying. I knew what he was
I
saying.
was trying to tiptoe around it, but hey, the facts are, I got coached.
Yeah.
It gets better though, because I didn't leave that office with the outcome I wanted. But
So he comes in, talks about, how he went through the process and what he felt about what was going on. Said, "Give me some time." I said, "Let me look into it." And, visited with the store manager a while, and then kind of stood back for a couple of days. And he didn't know this. I get to the store, 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Really.
So it was before we had laptops for the market manager. That tells you how dated I am, I guess, as a marketing manager. And so we'd go to the office pretty early, and I kind of watched him and stood back for a couple of days and says, hey, come back and talk, and let's visit with you again. Let's revisit this. And so, Nico, I said, kind of looked at it, and I said, honestly, I read the coaching, spoke with your supervisor, and he's right. We're going to uphold that coaching.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
it sounds nice now. But
It didn't come across that
no,
way.
it just like this took. I just knew I was going back for,
Yeah.
for the reversal of this thing.
Right.
This
Yeah.
is-
Yeah.
I
You're
got
getting it. Yeah. You're getting it.
And I just talk about all the wind out your sail, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
it just felt
That's
like
funny.
an anchor drop. It's like
Yeah.
you just gotta swallow. Yes, sir.
And then, at that same time, he had a vested interest in his future, because he wouldn't come to us and be concerned about his
Yeah.
coaching. So, well, Nico, tell me what you want to do. What do you want to do with your future? What do you see yourself doing in this company? And he goes, honestly, sir, I would like to go into the people side. And he says, you want to be, what do you want to do? He said, I like to be an MHRM at the time.
that's right.
He says, I'd like to do that role. And I said, all right. So I said, let me tell you something. I said, I see something in you. I said, I don't know if you see it in yourself, but I'm going to help you. And I said, I'm going to help you get to where you want to be. I said, but first, you got to do your job and understand that someone gives you feedback, you take it, you do a good job. Said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Very respectful, and started from there. And, we teamed him up with my partner at the time, and started kind of developing his skill set around people and what he wanted to go into. And then I think, maybe a year later, he said that wasn't the route for him. And we had another conversation about him wanting to continue moving up in the company and wanting to be a co-manager, right?
Yeah, and it wasn't. It no longer was my sole mission, because I had gained a lot of confidence in the mentoring relationship and operations. And I thought was pretty magical was that James is the market manager. Like, at least 10 years ago, for sure. Like, you
Big
think of
deal.
the district manager
Yeah, it's a
as
big
like
deal.
your CEO. Like,
Yeah.
I
That
think
was
it
your
was-
Sam Walton.
Yeah,
That was your CEO.
That was my Sam
Yeah.
Walton.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
who was the CEO? Maybe Mike Duke at the time, but that wasn't. I didn't think about that. I thought of James Torres,
That's right.
and I remember he took a particular interest in walking the store with me and boots on the ground and saying, "Let me walk the store with you as an overnight assistant." I took 30 minutes. Let me walk the store with you. Uncomfortable initially, right? You know, in that conversation around some of the things I was doing and not doing, and this is just real time feedback. And of course, my store manager here's the district manager walked at 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
Oh my God! What? It was for me.
Yeah.
What do you mean it was for you? It was for me.
Yeah.
He didn't call the store manager. He
Right.
walked with me and learned a lot from that experience. But as I gained more confidence in operations, and he began to tell me, hey, a couple months down the road, hey, you're doing a good job. I see a difference in the store. Hey, floor's dirty. Got to work on that, and I held to it, right? While I wouldn't let go of what he already gave me, I'd continue to build, climb and maintain, climb and maintain, climb and maintain. And so as I began to get more confidence in operations, the relationship with the store manager, like, very quickly improved, because as an overnight assistant, at least 10 years ago,
Right.
you could run a good overnight crew. Your store manager is a pretty happy person.
Right.
I became kind of the go-to in that. That just, it put some wind in my sail, and didn't breed arrogance. It bred confidence, and I was able to really do a good job. And so that was the piece of it that I thought was really cool, was that he was actually boots on the ground mentorship and threw my name out there. And after I had recovered from the development,
Yeah, sure.
the coaching,
Yeah, sure.
after I recovered from it, was able to be an active part of the labor team for the home office, where I was a first responder. That program I had years ago.
Yeah.
Did that, went through some training here at the office for a couple of weeks, and built some relationships there. But all that to say, a year later, probably a year and some change down the road, I said, you know what? I still love people. I still want to do people, but I really think I can bridge people and operations by just continuing naturally through the co-manager rank. And that's where I began to accelerate the careers. Went to be a co-manager in Hot Springs, Arkansas. Store 261.
Interesting.
Yeah, I love that store. Big old super center. It put some miles on me, and from where we was at. And then went back to Kansas City in a complex store and a super center as a co-manager there for a little over a year. And then at that point is when I began to stay connected to James, obviously. And I think this is where some of the more magic of the relationship happened was he left Kansas City. And I thought, man, I'm going to Arkansas, but man, it's kind of terrible. I'm going to lose connection of him.
Right.
And the phone would just ring, within 60 days. hey, Nico, James Torres, how you doing? I'm great, sir. You know, he just calling to check on you, see how you're doing, how's your career going, and that's awesome. Keep on doing a good job at what you do, and you know, things will work out for you. And never said that you'd get promoted tomorrow. Never said that, you know, this is what you're going to get tomorrow in this amount of time. Just keep doing a good job. Things will work out for you. Keep on doing a good job at what you're currently doing. He really stressed that was don't focus on the quote unquote promotion.
That's right.
You have to focus on what you currently do, and you have to master it and do a really good job at it and take the feedback well, to his point. And then from that time in Kansas City as a co-manager, we progressed into the next part of the mentorship, which James will continue with.
Yeah, and so, you know, it comes to mind, and it's funny, and, you know, through my career, I've always communication, and I'm going to share this with y'all.
Yep.
So I always had a little flip notebook or something, and then I progressed to typing a note out on my phone or my iPad, and I always went back to a kind of an old school,
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
just kind of a, you know, personal kind of note. But it reminds me of this, and, you know, I have a ton of notes in here. But one of my favorite quotes from Sam Walton is, you've got to give folks responsibility. You've got to trust them, and you've got to check up on them. And, you know, you think of that, and I always refer, every time I open this book, like when I'm in a store, I say, hey, we need to do this,
Yeah,
we need
sure.
to see this, and kind of you know, just keep that big picture.
That's
Yeah.
right.
And after, you know, a week of touring stores, I always go back to this book or my notes on what I seen and kind of global issues that we need to address. But kind of goes back to Nico as a co-manager, and he's called me several times, hey, what do you think about this as a co-manager? Hey, we're doing this. And I always, you know, continue to progress, continue to do better, continue to ask for stretch assignments if you want to do this. And I think numerous times you went out and helped with shareholders and did different things as a co-manager and did some things. So the time actually came up where he was applying for stores.
Yes, sir.
And we talked about the interview skills, and we helped him a little bit on interview skills, and applied for a couple, and he applied for one in New Mexico, and went through the interview process, and that was his first store he got.
Well, let me interject because you're not telling the whole story, sir. So I interviewed. I threw my name in the hat for a store. We had talked, and he had a store come open that I wanted to compete for.
Yeah.
And so quite naturally, I'm like, okay, well, I've known James for the years, and this is great. So interviewed, MHRM interviewed me, and James did as well. Walkthrough. Hey, come on down. So I'm like, whew, I got this. You know, I get out there, get on the plane. And
So you're going from Arkansas to New Mexico?
No, I was back in Kansas City.
Oh, back in Kansas City.
I'd never been to New Mexico before.
Okay.
But once again, I trusted him and said, you know, I want to continue to follow him.
Okay.
And I interviewed for Farmington, New Mexico. And right out there on the plane, hey, I got a real good shot at this one. And I got back to Kansas City, and James had called me. He said, hey, I want to just visit with you. And I thought this was a congratulatory call.
Right. You're packing your bags.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, my boxes are open.
Yeah.
He said, hey, you didn't interview very well. Your oral interview on the phone was great, but your walkthrough, you did not possess the skill set I need for that store, so I'm going to pass on you. And it went back to that moment 4 years ago to like, wow, you just sucked the wind out of me again. Like, it's just not the right time. I'm sorry. And you had to continue to progress, you know, here and there. And that one was a little hurtful.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the other piece of the story that I wanted to be sure to add in there. That he turned me down.
Hey, we just don't say I take the wind out of your sails. We also put the wind back in them too.
He did. You know, and that's very true. And I'd say for me, he didn't take it out. He's very, very polite and very genuine with it. But
when you're in the moment, you're in the moment of the feedback, or you're in the moment of a, I had a conversation earlier this morning with a few people around. When you're in the moment of a tough situation or in some cases trauma and all these different things that we affect, it's really hard to see outside of that.
Yeah.
Now it's really easy to look back on it and say, hey, you know, this is what I learned. This is what I took. I think this is what we're going to do with COVID eventually, right? Right now we're in the middle of it.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to reflect. And we're all going to have learnings from this and growth and challenges and that kind of thing. So it's like when you're in that moment, when you receive that phone call, man, nothing feels good.
It doesn't, because I thought it was the contrary.
Yeah,
I thought it was
that's right.
hey, pack your bags and let's get you going. Yeah. But, you know, I mean, it was very...
How long between that and when you actually landed a store?
It wasn't long. It was probably a couple months maybe.
Yeah, it was probably 60 days.
Yeah, it wasn't long, and just some very deliberate, honest feedback on. And then we did it again and landed that store, and it was much healthier going
Yeah.
home for me, at least.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah,
a congratulations. So
What's the mental process you go through when you receive that feedback? So you got the feedback 4 years ago as a assistant manager. You get feedback, and I'm sure when you were a store manager for James, you got feedback all the time.
we'll get there.
Constant feedback.
He still gets feedback.
Yeah.
He says, I haven't got this much feedback since I worked for you, sir. Just yesterday and today, so he's heard it pretty well.
Yeah.
So when you're in those moments, especially those moments where you think you're going to achieve something, it doesn't happen, and you get the feedback. How do you process that?
From the first feedback in the year it was to a couple, 2-3 years later when I got the store, maybe 4 years later when I got the store, I got feedback obviously from multiple, members of multiple leaders over the time, and I was always positioned to receive feedback really well, but for some reason from him, it just felt a little different because he had mentored me. And
Right.
you begin I had this silent.
It means a little bit more, right?
Yeah.
It means a lot more, right?
Yeah.
And maybe I had a silent expectation that, okay, well, he's seen what I've done and he knows what I can do, and I think I'm going to get this one.
Yeah.
But it was more than anything, he was teaching me something, and probably humbleness, right? And that was a really good lesson for me, But the process I go through with the feedback, at least from someone I trusted and who had led me for years appropriately, initially is I've let him down.
Yeah.
I've let him down in front of a market team and in front of store managers who are walking with me. And that's what I went through. I can't stand the fact that he's upset with me, and he wasn't upset with me, but in my mind, that's all I thought was I let him down.
Yeah.
But very quickly, and I've always recovered quickly from things. And as the years went on, it's a different process just because you mature, but recovered and okay, let's go.
Yeah.
Just pick myself up, and let's keep moving. So
it's that feeling of having to kind of push through it, right?
Yeah.
So you kind of internalize it. You're like, all right, that didn't go where I thought it was going to go. And it hurts a little bit, stings a little bit, and you think through the learnings. And then it's kind of like, but then it's that effort that not everybody does, the second part, which is you push through it.
Yeah.
And you learn from it, and you get better from it.
You have to recover.
That's right.
And if you don't recover, it's just a very unhealthy place to be, especially, immediately and long term, because you get stuck in that mindset. And your perspective is very one way because it's all about you at that point, right?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
me. So
that's
my,
right.
My perspective was very
It's
singular.
Yeah. You're looking at your inner, and you're looking at yourself, rightly so, right?
Yeah.
Based on that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so important.
Yeah, the greatest thing about Nico is he was an assistant manager. He was a horrible assistant manager.
Dave, let's loop that.
So
We got to find developmental words.
Yeah, that'll be the promo for this. Nico was a horrible. And we'll just loop it.
But
I love it.
the great thing about it is he progressed in every single position that he went. I mean, he's
He's
had
gotten
a
better,
skill set,
right?
Yeah, in every position, and it opened him up to feedback and taking real feedback. Just in the time that I've been with, and even as a market manager, he started off in a regular market. Today he's running a complex market, and he's not afraid to pick up the phone and call me or someone else or his neighbor or his peer, and that's what really made him successful. And I'll tell you, it's something proud of you step back and you see some of these folks that you've been close with really succeed, but the feedback and his openness and not afraid to ask questions. Some folks get into positions and they're afraid to ask questions.
That's right.
Even me personally, position I'm in, I'm always, bug Nick Berkeley for a long time. Say, hey, Nick, give me some feedback and what you see from me. What do I need to do better? And today I'm talking to Brad and saying, hey, Brad, we've been together for a month. What are you seeing? What do I need to do better? And
That's right.
you take that feedback and you run with it and you really own it. Nico's done that well, and that mentorship program, there's not a time go by where, he's not calling me or asking me something, or I'm not calling. I've learned probably as much from him than he's learned from me.
So why Nico? So you have managed thousands and thousands of associates over the years, right? And I'm sure there's more than just one, right? You mentor a lot. But what did you see in him that made you want to stick with the relationship?
So the positive is there's I think 3 or 4 store managers that we've had just in that same market that are currently market managers today that I still stay with. Nico specifically was the desire to succeed. And while he didn't know everything, his desire to learn, his desire to grow, and his desire to do more just continued on. And it was inspiring. And, the biggest thing that I think, I've learned from Nico is really we come from 2 different diverse backgrounds. And he's taught me as much, just about his his background as I taught him about mine. And we've kind of blended those two backgrounds, and it's really become a mentorship / brotherhood almost, that we know about each other's family, we know about each other's background, and educated on both. And it's a special thing. And you know, when you sit back and you're not just talking about, hey, these KPIs are this, or hey, this metric's this, or here you go about this, but when you're able and you have that ability to slow down and listen to folks and where they come from and understand where they come from, really means a lot. And it means a lot. You know, I remember Nico, and I don't know if you remember this, but his mother came to visit him in Albuquerque, and he says, James, I'd like you to meet my mother. Can I take her by your office? I know you're in the office. I said, absolutely. And, you know, she walked in the door and she gave me a hug.
Oh.
And, you know, I said, Dr. Vassol, how are you? And it was special. You know, it was getting to know the family. And,
That's right.
you know, and even our associates today, there was an associate a couple of weeks we were down in Brownsville, and we were talking to some associates down there, and just amazing to hear their stories and things that folks go through, and challenges that folks go through, and able to guide them. And it's a special thing. It's a special thing that at Walmart we have the ability to really touch people in a special way and really help them. And it's amazing that you see these folks growing with our company and have the ability to grow if they want to. I always, you know, said there's one person that's up to, and when you look in the mirror, it's you. You want to do something with Walmart, it's entirely up to you.
That's right.
Yeah.
And you can do it. You just have to go after it.
And you got to remind yourself, there's so much going on in the business, right? There's the pandemic, there's supply issues, there's all of the issues that everybody's facing. There's the holidays coming up, there's the new modulars, whatever it is. But sometimes you have to stop and remind yourself that this is a people business, and that you get to see people that when they put in the effort, get to change their lives, right? And you get to have a hand in that as a leader. And we talk about that a lot, right? This leadership privilege that you have to lead people is the ability to improve their lives at work, but then also their lives at home, which, Nico, I'm sure not only have you been enhanced through James' mentorship in doing your job, but even outside of work.
Absolutely. Because I've grown a lot just as a person over the years, just as age progresses. And I was, you know, a little bit younger in the game, coming out of high school, and was a cashier for just a little bit, was CSM for a year, assistant manager for 2 years, and co-manager for a couple of years, and ran stores for 5 years. And more than anything, you know, it's more of an inspiration, especially to a generation of people, and saying, really?
Yeah, it can be done, right?
It can be done, you know, and that's one of the beauties of Walmart. But yes, grown a lot as an individual, and just naturally, and how many moves I had to make with the company, and wasn't afraid to pack up and take a challenge, and went to Socorro and ran that first store, and like I said, went back to ran a couple stores in Topeka, and then, you know, James can tell you about the final store that I ran for him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, before we go there, it's special when you think about the people, and you hear Doug and John talk a lot about that regenerative leadership, right? And those things about, especially when it comes to people and the special thing that we have at Walmart as a company. It's truly special to see people really grow in their roles. And, you know, there's hundreds of stories out there. There's probably thousands and thousands of stories out there that people touch, different folks. But that mentorship, when you really take someone and you see them grow and give them that responsibility, then you go back and check on them, and it's special. It's special to them, it's special to you. And we're definitely in a blessed place to be where we are and able to impact the people that we impact every day.
You know, one more thing, James, I want to say is that the relationship around mentorship, some people say they're mentoring people and they just say they're doing it. But there were very deliberate actions he took over the years of stretch assignments.
I'm so happy you're going into this. I wanted to ask it, but I was like, this conversation is so good.
No, you're good.
Thank you, Nico. Yeah.
I just, you know, even for me, you know, with the folks that I'm mentoring along the way, and, you know, I'm paying it forward, which we'll get to in a little bit. But it was very deliberate actions. Do this, and how did you do?
Yeah.
Let me give you feedback on that, because I don't think you really captured the full essence of what I wanted you to do. It was very little instruction sometimes, and that was by design, to be able to, once again, use your perspective. And I'm not going to give you all the recipes for it, right? That's why I love, you know, the ownership piece that Dakona's driving around. You own it. I'm not going to tell you every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Right.
You own it, and you need to act like an owner, and owners have to make decisions and use their better judgment. So it was a very deliberate relationship over the years, and obviously transition when it was, you know, I say virtually now, but it wasn't virtual back then. It was just we lived in different parts of the country. But now it's virtual because Zoom, right? But it was just very, deliberate with the whole labor stretch assignment, right? I think this would be good for you and what you're going to do. And then when I got the opportunity to go to shareholders, James even had feedback for me after, I was in a different region of the market. He had feedback for me. Hey, when you do this, when you get there, do this. When you wrap it up after 8 weeks, do this. And be sure you build good relationships while you're there. Natural relationships. Don't just try and go meet people to say I met them another name.
Right.
Build good natural relationships that are productive both ways.
One of the things I want, and we'll get to the last story, and I know there's more stories there, but you touched on something around. We talk a lot about inclusion. And we talk a lot about making sure that people feel part of a team and they feel like their voice is heard, but then also celebrating our differences. And we've talked about this several times on the podcast. So that's what makes any team great, is you have differences and those differences get highlighted. James, you touched on that a little bit. Different backgrounds. How has that kind of melded together? And what has been some of your maybe even difficult conversations that you've had to have that may be different, or has it just been natural?
It's been really natural, and I think I talked this with my people partner not too long ago about mentorship, and we're having a big discussion around mentorship because our talent pipeline at Walmart is so important to our future, right? When you start looking at things, and you think about how we do things or what we do things, and mentorship. Number one, I think if someone really wants to see someone grow or anybody grow, you take the time. And it goes back as it comes just natural. I talked about opening up a ground up super center. Yep. Right? And when you're putting things out from a talent perspective, I used to have, we called it a moving on up meeting. Right? We took kind of that George Jefferson's moving on up. Yeah. And I posted at the time clock and, moving on up and session. And before you knew it, I had to grow talent. It was in a store that was outside of a big area, so we had a self-developed talent. And so before you know it, I had a room full of folks and this moving up session that wanted to move up, just a diverse background of not only culture and race, but just background. We've had a retired chemical engineer that was working and wanted to have a little bit more responsibility. We had a retired realtor that wanted a little bit more responsibility. Just tons of folks that were great, and we didn't even know they worked for us. That was a cashier, but just wanted a part-time job and ended up being leader and today running stores for us because they enjoyed retail. So those special things that you could do as a leader, but I think the biggest thing, to answer your question around inclusion and bringing people together is take that time to slow down and listen. And I don't think we learn enough about people's culture. Nico's taught me a lot about his culture and where he's come from and things that he's done where has helped me in my career understand people and understand the diversity and how critical diversity and inclusion are. And you can talk about, we got to be important about diversity and inclusion, but when you live it and you see it and you feel it every day and you understand it, it helps make you a better Walmart associate first and foremost. But as you continue up this leadership path, it makes you truly a better leader because you could lead people. Walmart's a diverse culture. We come from many areas of the country, many areas of the world. And when you have the ability to really learn about someone and learn about where they come from and who they are, that just makes you a better leader, makes you truly a better person.
Yeah.
That's right.
I learned from James through this, especially last year with a lot of the social unrest and things of that nature. There's obviously a lot of questions that are asked of people with diverse backgrounds. And one thing James really helped lean in that kind of in the conversation when we had it last year was it's okay to talk about.
That's right.
And I just think it's wonderful that Doug and the leadership team and yourself is really highlighting. You've been very deliberate about what you talk about, and I've noticed that, and it's okay to talk about. I highlight Doug's video last year after one of the videos he had, and he said, if you can't be inclusive, and if you don't want to embrace changes, etc. around race, he says this isn't the place for you. And that was so impactful to be that deliberate about.
Yeah, it was powerful.
The statement, and very powerful, and it was okay to talk about. And as we went through last year, and so For me, obviously, is a lot of the social unrest was happening in my community, in my in my family, and so on and so forth. It calls for pause, right? And really made you think a little more about things and made you reflect and make sure that I'm adding to the good and adding to the pot of good deeds and so on and so forth, because I think I have a voice, and I think people look at me, especially in the role I'm in, to continue to be that positive light and not get sucked down a road of what isn't happening, because so much good is and so much great has happened, and that's one thing that he empowered me. It's okay to talk about, because for a while I was like,
it's a touchy subject.
What do I say? Like, is it okay to say? Is it okay to say, George Floyd? Is it not okay to say George Floyd? Is it okay to talk about differences in, the Black and African American culture than everybody else's? It was just odd, but the leadership team made it so deliberate about how they went about it.
And it's approachable, right?
Yeah, approachable, right? That's what I was looking for. I was kind of fishing for that word, but it was approachable, right? In kind of how I move forward. So it was good, really good.
Yeah, it's good to have those conversations. We talked about last week, on conflict between teams and being willing to sit in that conflict a little bit, right? And flesh it out. And obviously with the topics in the civil unrest last year, not everybody probably felt that they could. Hopefully they could. But we were hoping to create an opportunity in an environment where we could kind of get together and have the conversations, right? And kind of flesh it out. And it sounds like you guys were able to do that, which is great. Good deal.
Something that I keep going back to listening to both of you talk about mentoring and it being deliberate and intentional with your time, with what you're trying to get from this person and trying to give to this person. How did your relationship kind of evolve even after the pieces of more difficult feedback to hear, or when there have been some kind of hard or awkward moments? I think a lot of times people want to get into a mentorship relationship and then they kind of don't realize that it can be really uncomfortable at times, but out of that comes growth.
I think the first part of that is just being honest, right? And it's hard for a lot of folks just to be straightly honest, say, hey, I don't know this, or I don't know that.
Yeah.
And there was even times where, I could remember Nico saying, hey, I don't know this. Can you help me with it? And, he thought as a store manager he needed to know everything. And I said, well, you don't need to know that, but let's go through it and walk through it. And that honesty goes first and foremost. And I think with that goes respect, right? And I think the respect for each other is number one, having that person to listen and respect what you're telling them, and then vice versa, having respect for the person telling you their opportunities or things that they might need help on goes tremendously a long way.
And I think the one part that we're probably leaving out at some level is that this isn't only me. It's a group of people that James has latched onto over the years. And I can think about just Heather Carter, for instance. She runs a complex supercenter in Albuquerque for the company. And she actually hired me with the company the second time I came back. She hired me with the company. And she was a mentor in many facets along the way. And so within that network of people, oftentimes James may kick me over to Heather. Hey, help Nico with this. And Heather was she was my assistant when I was a CSM. She was my co-manager and I was an assistant manager. She was my store manager and I was her co-manager. And so it was more like this ecosystem kind of, right? And everything didn't go to James. A lot of times he'd kick it to Heather. Hey, I need you to help Nico with this. And when we were store managers together, she helped me tons, right? I could think about Eddie Tafoya, who's a store manager in Dallas, helped me a ton, does a great job with the company and really helped me a lot in my growth as well. So it was more of this ecosystem that kind of worked through over the years.
Have you heard of coaching, like in football, the coaching tree? So the coaching tree, and Alexa's a big sports fan.
Sports balls.
Nico is not. Nico is not a sports fan.
Okay, well, I'll explain it to you.
There's once again, it's like that development versus coaching. Yeah. It's not quite 100% true.
Okay.
I am a sports fan.
Stop while you're hitting.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
So coaching tree is like Nick Saban. All right, Nick Saban's a head coach in Alabama. You can go back and look at all of his former assistants, and now there's X amount that are coaches, head coaches, other places. Some of them are, coordinator somewhere else or whatever. So they call it the coaching tree. And at Walmart, we have them. Like we have these leaders that are really good at mentoring. And then over time, those individuals that are really good at mentoring mentor other people, right? And there's this kind of pay it forward mentality. And you were going to talk about this, Nico, a little bit about like how are you taking some of this relationship you have now and paying it forward with others?
the exact same way James did it, right? And that's staying connected to people. And sometimes as the mentor, you have to do that, because as the mentee, it can be a little uncomfortable sometimes to hire someone, goes like, should I call him? Should I not? Should I email him? Should I not? But one thing James did really well, he reached down a couple of levels and did that. And I've taken the same approach. And, when I first took over the market in Northern Arizona, really big space, right? 4 hours from home to the furthest store, right? And so I had to really lean into talent pretty quickly, and so I began exactly what, James did over the years, and that's have a mentoring circle and, be very actionable about what you do with people. And you got to start building a bench strength, and understanding where that bench can go and what they can do. And are they, in my situation, are they geographical, right? Can they move, and understand those conversations and just lean in. And so from that perspective, even when I was a store manager in Albuquerque, just kind of latched on to people and had a vested interest in their career and give them the same feedback. And that's hard sometimes. It's just hard as it was receiving it. I'd imagine that was hard giving it, because
and that's so true.
I was on the other side of the fence giving feedback.
Yeah, I mean, that's a great point, because you think when you're the one receiving it, it's really easy for the other person.
Yeah,
right.
You think,
but in reality, and some people are mean. I don't know. But if to give really good feedback, it takes thought, it takes effort, and it takes a little bit of courage as well.
Yeah.
Right, because it's much easier not to give the feedback. Right, it's easier just to remove yourself from the situation. And so it's one thing to think about too, when you're on the other side of a mentor relationship, that it takes effort, time, and they're probably just as nervous as you are when you're getting it, right?
Yeah. And, I agreed. And that's what has had to happen over the years. And as I bring more new people in, the more I evolved into the market manager role, I've had more feedback to give. And so I've continued that, and it's been really healthy just with the mentoring circle. I still have one until this day, but that mentoring circle isn't all of Southern California. It's some people in Arizona. It's some people in New Mexico. It's some people in, Texas. It's a group of people. It's this ecosystem I kind of talk about.
That's right.
They may not come work for me, and that's okay if they don't, but I'm helping impart something in them and show them, if anything, that there's you have capacity and there's hope, and there's a lot of roads you can take to, if you just want to do a really good job where you're at, that's great. If you want to promote, that's great. If you want to stay in this area, that's great. Just make sure you're adding to the company and you're doing a good job where you're at in the role you're currently sitting in.
That's awesome. That's so cool. All right. Do you want to get into the last story, the last store?
Yeah. So the last store Nico ran for me was a complex store. It was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Took the store over, and really I was, this was the first interaction we had in how many years?
About three years or so.
About 3 years, 3 to 4 years, I think, right around there, right?
Yeah, right before, yeah.
And he ran it was a complex store, and I was amazed, first and foremost, on how much he's grown as a leader. So it was really good seeing him from afar. But the funny story is, and I'll just say this, we walk into the store, I walk in for the first time, I don't know if you remember this, Nico, but he goes, "Hey, sir, let me show you what I'm doing in the store. Let me show you my back room." I looked at him and I said, "Huh?" And he goes, "Yeah, let me show you what I'm doing." I said, "I lead this tour." I said, "I'm going to go where I want to go."
Hey, that's a sign of a good store manager. He's going to lead you around.
That's at 4 years that I was really pleased with his growth, because
it happens to me all the time. So,
so I said, "No," I said, "I'm going to lead this tour. I want to go see what I want to see." "Yes, sir." And so anyway, we tour, and he did a phenomenal job in this store. So multiple visits from senior leadership. I think you had 3 visits from Dacona during that time frame, when Dacona was our BU leader at the time in the West.
Okay, yeah.
And so just did a remarkable job, and really it was fun. I think you probably had a lot of fun doing that store. And that last store really, I think, it brought us really close together, and where I could give him really honest feedback, he'd give me really honest feedback. And there'd be a couple of times where we'd have a call. I'd pick up the phone and call Nico and said, "Hey, what did you think of that call? Give me some feedback on myself."
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
And he'd give me that honest feedback. Sometimes it wasn't what I wanted to hear, and it helped me be a better leader. But I trusted his opinion, and I trusted what he had to say. And he was very honest.
So important. That's such an important piece of the puzzle, is that as a leader, you're willing to call the people that work for you and say, "What should I be doing differently?" Not everybody does that, right? to get feedback, and you do it with the team, the members that you trust, and the members that of the team that you know are going to give you that, be honest with you, because the last thing you want to do is people that around you that don't feel comfortable being honest with you, right? I should say, hey, if you can't tell me the truth, I'm not always right, right?
Yeah.
And if I don't have people around me that aren't telling me when we're going the wrong direction, I'm never going to know, right? So you want to surround yourself with those people, but then you have to have the humbleness as a leader to reach out and ask the question, right?
Yep, and that was exactly, and there was 2 or 3 store managers that would call at different times after certain communications. Or,
absolutely.
hey, what'd you think of that email? Man, James, you just put too much in it. You're driving me crazy. Okay, thank you. You kind of learned it should have been a little bit more simple or whatever it might be. But it was always constructive feedback. And then at that time, you seen him evolve as a leader, and he was running a very high complex store. And he evolved, and then I started seeing more in him. And I said, you know what, I'm going to start giving him stretch assignments. New store manager, hey, Nico, I want you to sponsor the store manager. And I'd be up there, and I tour this new store manager and call Nico. I said, hey, when was the last time you spoke with the store manager? Oh, it's been a week. I said, that's not a good sponsor, Nico. He said, I'll be up there tomorrow. And I started touring him, and I didn't give him any direction. He talked about that earlier. I didn't give him, hey, I want you to do this, this, and this. And then I seen him, and he stood back and said, hey, he called me after the visit. He says, hey, here's the things that we lined this folks out with. And it was good. And then, I started giving him a little bit more stretch assignments, and just started developing that kind of multi-unit experience with him. And then before you knew it, he was interviewing, right? I think for a developmental market manager at the time.
Yeah. Yeah, it was. That store, very, very valuable connection to the associates there, and really grew a lot as a person as well in that store. Just because it was challenging, it was complex for a reason, and I had to exercise different muscles that I wasn't used to exercising due to the scope of the store. It just was a lot to it. And I actually didn't want to disappoint, and I hadn't worked for James in several years, and I really didn't want to. He sees me every day now. He sees my numbers, he sees my metrics, he sees my conditions, he sees my merchandising, and so I took that very serious over the 2.5 years I ran that store, and just grew a lot. And the stretch assignments were impactful because while I was doing well and doing well at the current store, I had something else I was being evaluated on now, which was stretch assignments. And once again, that feedback, and no, Nico, you're not headed down the right path with this person you're sponsoring, and you've got a chance to cover a market. Had our RVP had asked me to help cover a market for a little while. So all those things considered really
prepares you, right?
It prepares me, right, for those experiences. And I think about what I would have struggled with in my new role as a market manager that I may not have had the exposure to before. So that's part of that deliberateness, obviously. And obviously he wasn't my mentor, he was my market manager. I had partnered me up with other folks and was able to help gain additional perspective. But multiple visits in the store. And then I came to build an interview with Dacona's, our divisional at the time. Came to interview with him and for developmental market manager, and got signed off on and approved for that. And then I think within 4 or 5 days, got a phone call about going to Region 54 under Brad Hodgson as my RVP at the RGM at the time, and end up going there to Northern Arizona.
And I think one thing, it's crazy, number one, that Brad, who hired him initially, is my boss today. It's weird. You have that relationship, and shows you just really how small Walmart is. But second thing, and during that interview, because I got a call from him as well, is Dacona challenged you during that, because you spoke about our mentorship and during that interview, and Dacona picked the phone and called me, and he challenged Nico at the same time. He says, Nico, don't stop telling that story.
Yeah, that was a really pivotal point for me, and just being able to highlight what had happened, because we're telling the story now, but then you don't really think of it as a story.
Yeah, right. It's just life, right?
Just happening. And when Dacona came to my store for the third time, he popped in, and he had Todd Harbaugh with him at the time. I just became a market man. I was approved, and I was going in Region 54, Northern Arizona. And Brad had hired me, and then it was like my second to last day in the store, and they all come walking in. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm like, oh, I don't. Hey, am I getting promoted still? What's
happening?
And Dacona asked me to kind of tell that story to Todd a little bit, and Dacona challenged me right there on that tour. He said, whatever you do, don't stop telling your story. And I think it's amazing how you're telling Todd how James at latched onto me and didn't let me go. He says, we can't let people go. We can't let people go because geography changes and because alignments happen. He said, you can't let people go. And he said that, as you're telling Todd that James didn't let Nico go and Nico didn't let James go. And he said, I think we need more of that. And when I came here when I was here for the interview process, did the same thing, challenged me to continue to tell the story, but most importantly, pay it forward to other folks. And that's what I was doing over the years and continue to do now, was to pay it forward to others.
Well, you're telling it in front of thousands of people right now. So congratulations. That's good.
Yeah.
We are at over an hour.
I know.
Already.
It's so good.
Just like that. Isn't that amazing?
That's amazing.
Really?
So good.
And we could go on for another hour, but I know you guys got a lot going on today and lots to do. But I do want to give you a chance. James, we'll start with you. Any last advice? People that may be listening, maybe either somebody who wants to be a mentor or somebody who feels like they need a mentor. Any last advice that you'd give folks?
I think first and foremost is, number one, be honest and know where you are in your career. Know exactly what you want to do, and don't let nothing hold you back. If you're happy in what you're doing, you feel you want to just excel in your current job, reach out to somebody, because there's somebody out there that can help you. But Walmart is a big company with many talented individuals in our company. And when you have the really chance to touch someone's life, it's impactful, not only to yours, but to theirs as well.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fulfilling, right?
It's very fulfilling.
Nico, any last advice for folks?
I think it's important that people are really good at what they do now. They're really good at the role they do now. And that's that climb and maintain approach, right? I'm not saying you have to be a complete master at it, because I don't know if that's ever reality. But I think you have to be good at what you do now. And you have to focus on your role you have now and your job you have now. You can't be a store manager who wants to be a market manager and you run a bad store. It doesn't work that way because you've been in the role. I think it's important you do currently what you're doing and you do it well. And then two, I think it's really important that you build relationships, whether they're convenient or not. Sometimes convenience is building a relationship with a mentor up the road, or building a relationship with someone who you think just has a fancy title. Or I think you should build a relationship with people and keep that mentor relationship, whether it's comfortable or not, meaning geography. If someone moves to New York, and still keep them, still hold on to them, and latch a hold of people that you can help grow with and who listen to you, and that you obviously listen to, and they have a voice in your career and your life.
That's awesome, man. So cool. Well, hey, you guys are clearly making a difference in broad scales. You guys both have big jobs. You do a lot, I'm sure, with all your associates. So first and foremost, thank you for what you're doing. Thank you for what you're doing for your associates and your customers. It's been a pleasure, Alexis, to hear this story. We've been looking forward to it for quite a while, and so it's finally good to get you guys here and hear it. And I know you got a lot going on, so thank you for what you're doing, and thank you for the difference you're making.
Yeah, and I want to say thank you for being candid, about the experience, because I think a lot of times we want to sugarcoat things, or we don't really want to talk about some of the challenges that we experience, but those challenges are what makes us keep growing and makes us, be better. So thank you for being here and for being here in person.
Yeah, so much better.
Great. Yeah,
you're welcome. So
all right.
It's been our pleasure.
Safe travels home.
Yep.
Thank you guys.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank you.
it.